1.
Okay.
And we're live with the second episode of Saturday Morning Survivor. Just
Hello.
after, just after our pilot episode for the season, Island of the Idols. I'm Anthony. That's
Oh yes,
John.
I'm John. Hello.
So it was a pretty good premiere episode in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get right into it. Let's
Yes.
uh let's let's talk about the twist. Let's start with the twist.
Sure. Let's talk about the
The
twist.
Island of the Idols. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
this was the perfect like first introduction to it. Like I thought
Yeah.
as much as like Reem was the perfect person to go to Edge of Extinction last season, I think Elizabeth was
Hmm.
the perfect person to kind of go to Island of the Idols this season. Not
Yeah.
not not quite as perfect because Reem was a legend in that sense.
Love
Um,
Reem.
but I think it's more so because um, she just showed it as a perfect example of what goes on there.
Right.
So I feel like she was kind of pressured into doing everything that she did because she had no idea what was going
Mm-hmm.
on. She just started
Mm-hmm.
playing the game. Now on day 2, or day 3, she's got to go to Island of the Idols, and they're like, "Well, you want to make fire against Boston Rob?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know."
I mean, I guess it's yeah. She was sort of caught in a bad time. I mean, she says it. She says it in the episode in one of her diaries that she's competitive by nature. I mean, she's an Olympian. It's hard for her to turn down a challenge, especially right out the gate. But whether or not she should have done it or shouldn't have done it remains to be discussed later in the podcast.
Yeah. So I mean,
Um,
I thought it was a very good introduction, though. I think the
yeah.
idea of uh, a simple challenge to start, at least fire making. Like, let me teach you how to make fire. It's important on Survivor. I'm sure that it might come full circle, and like the maybe possibly like the last Island of the Idols, someone else is going to be like, "Can you teach me how to make fire so I can win the fire making challenge at the end?"
Oh.
That might be a
Huh.
cool little thing if someone
Yeah.
asks for it then. But to start, that's something that's simple enough that literally anyone that goes on Island of the Idols can partake in a sense.
You bring up an interesting thought. You think there is going to be a level of you as the player are have some agency to ask them what to help them out with?
Not entirely, but I think partially. So I think the
Mm,
idea is like they have multiple challenges kind of lined up in preparation. So
right.
like whatever style, like whatever they're getting off the player, they're gonna be like, all right, let's do this challenge. All right, let's do this
Hmm.
challenge then. Like I don't think it's like entirely up to the agency of the player. Like if the player is like talking about, man, I just can't get over something that's bothering me from back home. They're not gonna have like, oh, well, let's bring out your mom. Like they're not gonna have
Hmm.
like everything set up for every situation. But I think that they
Right.
have
Right.
multiple scenarios. Like from what I've heard in the past about how production works in general in episodes, like they have like say there's a medevac, they have backup plans. Like this is gonna happen if there's a medevac.
Oh.
This is what challenge has to
Oh.
move here. Like they have backup plans. This one I think is more not necessarily backup plans, but more
Uh
so
huh.
other ways to deviate to get in order to get a more because like it's gonna be weird. Like say someone went to the like say someone like Janet went to
True. Yeah.
the Island of the Idols. She's not gonna ask to make fire. She just
Right.
made
Right.
fire. So like
Uh
I
huh.
feel like if she would have been picked, it would have been something a little bit different.
Yeah. I wondered how static of a thing that was. I mean, it's such an easy thing to do for
Yeah.
the first meeting there. Um, yeah, that would be interesting because she's so old school Survivor to me that I think that she obviously wouldn't have needed to do that. But maybe it would have just been like, oh, we're gonna teach you how to make fire. Okay, I know how to make fire, and then she would have taken him up, and maybe she could have beat him. Probably not. I don't know. He's pretty good at fire, Rob.
Yeah,
He's the fireman.
I don't think anyone would. I don't think anybody would have beat him at fire there. I think that was the idea was to this was purposely built like this kind of
Yeah,
challenge at the beginning for them to win because
yeah, yeah.
it's not that harming to the player unless it's someone who's on the outs. Odds are it won't be though
This is
because
true.
you're gonna
Right.
pick out of a bag. It's gonna be generally there's only two players on the outs in the first episode, so it's a
Hmm.
1 in 5 chance of getting someone on the outs. So
Right.
80
Right.
percent of the time you're gonna get someone who's probably fine.
True.
And
True.
turns out that's what happened. And we'll talk more so about
Of course.
that once we get around to the actual strategy talk.
Yes.
Real quick, since you talked about your old school pick from last week,
Uh-huh.
my old school pick
Mhm.
is completely wrong. Completely wrong. Elaine is not old school. Let me
No.
verify that now.
No,
I
she
love
is
Elaine.
not.
She's great. She's
She is.
fantastic.
Hmm.
And she's a talker. And I love that so much. And I don't think she was in much trouble as this episode played it up to be this week.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that it was a very like kind of emotional cut that they gave her to make it like try to build her character a little bit because
Yeah.
I don't think this is a winner's cut, but I think this
No.
is more so like a building of character cut because she's going to become a prominent figure for a good portion of the season at least.
Right. I was concerned about the amount of airtime that she had. I mean, if you look at someone like a Jacob Derwin from Ghost Island, who's a big super fan. I mean, he crushed everybody in DRs in the first 2 hour episode that they gave him,
Yeah,
but that's because he went out second.
yeah,
And I was very concerned when I see this much Elaine that, could they actually take her out episode one? I mean, she's very likable, and that's the reason ultimately she survived.
yeah.
But sometimes likability, yeah, I mean, likability is a liability. That's something that
Not this
that
early in
that
the game though.
Sandra
So
says in the little hut, in the little
I
secret
know,
hut.
I know. It's not something that you could get you voted out first.
True,
Generally, that's the
it's
thing,
true.
because you can use likability to your advantage for a little bit, and it's a matter of knowing when to take out likability. Because if you target
Hmm.
likability, then everyone's gonna know that you're targeting likability, because everyone knows Elaine shit. Everyone knows what's going on.
It's
So
true.
I think that's a very like easy thing to weed out.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Ronnie, our first boot, who
Hmm.
actually let me go over to the stream right here where I have his little face up there. Hold
Yes,
on,
his little
hold on.
face.
Let's see if I can get it to switch over. I can't. It's all right. There will be an X over his face next week. I'll put an
As
X
he
over. The
deserves.
next person will also get an X. So let's talk about Ronnie's game real quick. His plan,
Yes.
the poker player. Oh,
My strategist.
your best strategist
Oh,
right there.
Lord.
Yeah, I was a little worried. Obviously, with the poker player thing, they always overplay themselves. They always think they're smarter than everyone else,
Yep.
and that's not the right attitude to have. You can be that and make it far in this
True.
game, kind of like Tony did, because I think
True.
he thought in the same wavelength, but he didn't play like that to
Didn't
start.
didn't
In
act on
in
it. I
in
mean,
Cagayan at least, in Game Changers is a different story, but
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Cagayan, he didn't act on it. He didn't like betray anyone too early, and he built tribe strength. Actually, if you remember that, like they didn't lose a
Tribe
challenge.
strength.
They didn't lose a single challenge, and then the flip came when they switched tribes, and we went to the first like merge tribal, and he just
Right.
smoked everyone. So that's the problem, is that Ronnie would be a good late game player, kind of like
Yeah.
Chris from Edge of Extinction.
Like a Chris Underwood, yeah.
Um, except Ronnie's not gonna have a chance to come back in this game.
Too bad. So sad.
So I just think he overplayed his hand. He shouldn't have. I mean, if I get that he wanted to get Elaine out because strategically in his head, like, oh, I can't. There's a good chance I wouldn't be able to beat her at the end. I'm like, but you haven't.
Right.
You've played a day. Like, you don't know. She could have a implosion. She could be as nice as she is. She could screw a few people over, and it's a different
True.
story. So I think he overplayed really hard, and they just had to go to the moment you have to change your vote to someone else to try to appease someone. You should know
Right.
you're in trouble, and that's part of the thing. He didn't even recognize that he could have been a vote.
That's true. True. He was so blindsided. And that was great. We love
Oh
blindsides.
yeah,
We love a blindside.
we always love a blind side, but him and Aaron just especially when they were so close and they were in down people's throats in the episode. They were
Yeah.
like, Elaine, 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 Elaine. I'm like, it's the first vote, dude. Like, you gotta relax. Especially like right at the beginning when Tom, Vince, and Elaine went out in the woods and they're like, oh, this is 7. Like, okay, that's
I
a
know.
we're 30 minutes into the game now. You're already doing that. They went to go get wood, my friend. Like,
Uh
that's not a strategy talk kind of. You have to more develop individual relationships than you can develop group relationships. And
yes.
he didn't develop any individual relationships, and
Nope.
now he's
Nope.
gone. So
And
I
we
think that
saw
explains it.
a lot of players in this first episode that I think were, making good headway in terms of individual relationships. There was a good handful, and we'll talk about it more when we get into Vokai, because I think you see a lot of them in the Vokai tribe. But Elaine was the queen of that. She's making everybody at camp laugh. So there's absolutely no reason from a morale standpoint that anybody should want to, vote her out.
Yeah.
And Ronnie is, blinded by his desire to beat her or to not have her in a final three, that he can't see past the first week. And ultimately it cost him.
Yeah. So who do you think, if Ronnie was going to pull his side of the vote off, who should he have targeted? How should he have went about it to try to convince people to vote the other way? Because
it's a tough
I
call.
honestly think if he didn't target Elaine, he doesn't go home.
I agree. I do agree.
Because he targeted Elaine, Elaine went and told her, or not Elaine. Who told Elaine? I want to say it
was
Chelsea or Elizabeth. No, it couldn't have been Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think it was Chelsea.
I think Chelsea went up to Elaine and was like, "Listen, like, people are putting your name out there," and she was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, but if Ronnie would have targeted someone else, I don't think it would have been as public knowledge, because
I agree.
he picked the wrong person to start. You don't go after the most popular person on the beach. Like if he would have more so went after Vince from the start.
Vince,
just been
or I think even Tom too, but
yeah, I mean,
continue your thought.
The part is Vince was tied to the challenge,
right
at the end there, where they just completely flubbed it up.
That's a good point.
That was a terrible puzzle for them to do, and it looked as a viewer like it wasn't that hard. Like,
yeah,
it looked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's from an outside perspective, but that didn't look like it's one of those gotcha kind of puzzles. Like it's just a stack puzzle. Like it's just line up the holes, and they couldn't even figure that out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think Vince would have been an easier pick, because then you'd be like, oh well, he struggled in the challenge because he was part of the puzzle team.
Well, and who else played with him? It was Dean.
Dean was there, and one of the girls. Was it?
I had it written down.
Was it Chelsea?
Yes, it was Chelsea.
Yeah, I think it was Chelsea. So that was disastrous, and I'm surprised. I mean, unless they got smoked really quickly, because the edit might have drawn it out a little bit longer than it actually was. I'm surprised they didn't switch out. Like, why didn't they like someone?
Is there a chance you weren't allowed to switch out? I
feel
don't
like
know how they do that.
I feel like you can always switch out, because I feel like often that happens. That happens way too often for it to be like something that's not, you're not allowed to switch out in this episode, unless it's like a hero challenge. Like I've seen those, like where it's like one person here, one person here, one person here, everyone else on the side. But like if it's just like that, if it's just like the tribe goes and you just pick 3 people to do it, I think you can switch out. Because they were effectively all doing it, because they were all right there, like yelling at him, like this is here, this is there. So I don't know if it's necessarily not allowed, but I'm pretty sure you could.
Well, I'm gonna imagine that they smoked them, that Vokai smoked them, because if I'm a bystander there, I don't want to get involved, because I don't want to take the hit of being a part of the puzzle, and taking an L.
Yeah. So. Anyways, that was a disastrous challenge for Laro, but Vokai in the challenge, we have an emergence of a challenge beast by the name of Jack.
Jack,
Jack, going down on the rope one-handed and pulling 3 people up. That was
what
awesome.
A guy.
That was awesome watching him do that.
I agree.
And I think that's going to give him big brownie points around camp. Because Vokai has their targets set elsewhere, so he's going to be a tough vote out early, at least if they go to tribal. If they lose, although if they have to use any puzzles again, I don't know if they will, because Laro can't do puzzles. So
Jack was giving me great stuff in this first episode. I was really big on he was, his cooperation level with his other tribe members this early in the game on this stage, rang a lot of bells in a good sense for me. I thought, I really liked what I saw. There was another. When you said Challenge Beast, I was wondering if you were going to say Janet
Yeah, I
because
mean,
she was powerful
yeah,
in
she
throwing
she
that hook.
she was boom right in first try.
Cash money.
Made the fire back in camp when she said she could do it with bamboo, not like your typical,
Yes.
not your typical
Yeah. No.
fire
No
making
flint.
setup. No, bamboo.
Bamboo.
But they normally don't even like, even when they do like without flint. I don't think I see bamboo all that often. So
No. No.
like that's a relatively new one. I'm sure it's happened before, but also
Of course.
when she goes in and when she dove down the ramp, just face first, right into
Yes.
the wood chips.
Covered in the wood
I
chips.
love it. I love it.
It was
But
good. It was good.
I don't know if that'll hold up when it comes to individual immunities when the season
Yeah.
wears on. I like Janet a lot. I think she had a great
So you're
episode.
saying she made the merge?
Maybe, maybe. I'm not as certain about that. I mean, listen, a lot of Vokai is probably going to make it as long as they keep the tribe together, because
Yeah.
I don't see them losing that much.
Odds
Um,
are.
but yeah, so let's get into our winners and losers for this week real quick before we get too in depth with the strategy talk.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
I actually took them both off of Laro since I feel like we talked mainly about Vokai last week. So
Sure. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my winner of this episode is Tom. I think Tom played a
Really?
great game.
Wow.
I think because what he did was he took in Elaine and Vince, even though like they weren't supposed to be really like a target when you go get wood 30 minutes into the first episode. He
True.
talked to them, he built a bond with them, and you could see that the bond he built with Elaine was very strong by the end of the episode, because they were talking right up to tribal, with Tom
Right.
there saying, you're going to be all right, we're not going home, this, that, the other, being reassuring. um,
Huh.
so I think the Tom and Elaine connection is going to benefit Tom more so in the long run, because
Interesting.
you talk about the Girls Alliance that got formed.
That's big.
That's a big one. But I
Yes.
don't think that has enough strength to last. You didn't have Elizabeth there for like a day effectively, so you couldn't really build a strong bond with her. So you get
Yes.
now you're down to Missy, Karishma, Chelsea, and Elaine. Elaine has a strong bond with Tom and
Uh huh.
Vince. So they're like a little threesome. So now you're down to just three girls that are probably all about it.
Uh
But
huh.
I think Elaine can use it as long as she needs to till she should switch off, because she's still going to be
Right.
a target of that Girls Alliance at some point. It doesn't make sense for her not to be. And I think Tom played
True.
himself in a perfect position where no one suspects him. No one thinks he's doing anything. And I think he's built a great
Hmm.
relationship with the strongest social butterfly in the game. I think he is aware. I think he's really aware of what's going on. Like, I think he's
Really?
really in tune with what happened. At least in that vote, he like knew everything that was going on, because he seemed lasered in, seemed focused right at the end of camp before tribal. Like, I feel like he knew where the vote was going, no
Huh.
doubt. Like, and he put up the Stonewall face in front of the Aaron and Dean, said, "Yeah, we're vote Vince." No, but that didn't happen. So I think he really had a good episode. He had a strong showing in my opinion.
That's very interesting.
So who's your winner?
My winner, and we've already talked about her. I think Janet was the winner of the episode to me.
That's fair.
Just
That's
purely on the grounds of we get into this conversation in the early game where if you're a person that wants to go day one, day two, and make fire without flint, you could potentially put a major target on yourself, just in the sense that you're very much aware and capable in ways outside of what the game necessarily gives you. But for Janet to be a 59-year-old woman, this archetype that very traditionally could be picked off in the early sense, granted she's helped by a very strong tribe, but beside the fact, she, I think, already writes herself out of conversations for first or even second boot from Vokai if they were to go to tribal, because I think she just built herself up in such a way with that moment, and of course supplementing what she did in the challenge. I can't say she had a bad episode.
No,
Nothing
no.
about her episode was bad to me, and I I just think that it's pretty positive. Whether she makes the merge or not, I mean, this is on a per episode level. She's not
No,
my
yeah.
winner pick by any means,
Yeah.
but to boost herself up in that way was pretty incredible to see right off the bat.
No, yeah, she definitely had a great like storyline to the episode
Yeah,
almost,
that too.
which I thought is good for TV, but not necessarily is best for her because her whole focus was I have to prove myself.
Yeah,
And by
yeah,
doing that, I didn't see her. Granted, we didn't see much of Vokai. I didn't see much strategy
yeah.
talk from her or relationship building with her. I just saw her trying to prove to herself something, which is good in its own right. But I don't
Uh huh.
think it's as beneficial for her as it could have been if she
Uh
was
huh.
like teach someone to make fire. That would have been pretty baller, I think. Like if she would have said, "Come here, let me show you."
That's a good point. Well, and if she chills and she doesn't try to do that every episode, then
Well, yeah, I mean,
she can be in a good spot. But
yeah, she could still be in a good spot. She still had a good episode regardless. I just didn't think it was the pick for my winner. I wanted to pick
yeah.
someone a little bit more under the radar like Tom.
Oh yeah, no,
I did I
that's a
don't
great
I
pick.
didn't want to go out and do like Elaine or who else would had
Hmm.
a pretty good episode from like Vokai. Uh,
I mean, Jack.
Jack, yeah, like I wanted to do someone that I thought had good strategy, good relationship building, good wherewithal with the game. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
now who
fair.
who
That's fair.
lost this week other than Ronnie? We know Ronnie lost. Who's your
Yes,
loser?
Ronnie lost. Let me see. So you're going double Lyro for the sake of this exercise. I'll go double Vokai.
Okay.
I think that I mean Jason's an obvious call. I'm gonna say Dan.
Dan.
I think Dan took an L because he's a touchy boy, and
Can't be that way.
you can't be that
You
way.
cannot be
Like
that way.
I unfortunately I'm trying to remember her name. Blood versus Water. I want to
First
say it
one
was yes, first one. Not Monica, another returning player.
from the
She
first.
was the first boot. I'm trying to remember her name. Dang, it's a
Who's the
shame.
first boot blood wars one?
My
Okay.
my survivor acumen.
Yeah. You were thinking of Monica Culpepper, right?
Yeah, yeah. I knew it wasn't. Well, I knew it
It's
wasn't
not
Monica
her. No,
Culpepper,
yeah.
but I thought the other
First
woman's name.
boot. I don't know.
Who was that first boot?
I can't
But
remember.
whatever.
Yeah.
Dan, in a very similar fashion to what happened in Blood versus Water, he's out here like giving people massages when they don't want massages.
Yeah.
Like you gotta just ask, bud. Like if people want it and you want to boost morale in that way, go for it. But like if you've got your head on Kelly's legs and she doesn't want your head there,
Can't even get up.
for her, she can't necessarily like say, please don't touch me
It's
because she
already an
doesn't want to put a target on her back.
Yeah, it's already an awkward enough situation.
So awkward.
Don't.
And you know, he would have had, he could have been dead to right here, even though Jason is the person that's going out looking for idols. I think that there is a chance that if Vokai went to tribal, that Dan could have been, picked off because Kelly made other people in the tribe aware of how she was feeling about what Dan was doing, and it wasn't good.
Yeah. I remember I was reading. I think it was Molly or Lauren, one of their two bios from when they got
Yeah,
on the season. It said, "I do not like when people touch me when I not want to be touched." And
there you go.
I was just thinking of that when all that happened. I was like, "Oh my god! Like this is not perfect for Dan at all in the slightest." So I think
Oh
he
God,
he might be an easier first vote than Jason, because yeah, Jason
yeah.
went out searching for idols. But I think Jason will probably make a move in some sense to try to save himself, and I don't think that's the sole basis for you for voting someone out quite, because he didn't really go out for an extended search. I don't
Hmm.
think they just kind of overreacted because that was at the beginning of the game. Like that was like they got on the
True.
island, they decided we're gonna build shelter, and Jason went off to grab something. Obviously, was looking for idols at the same time, but it's not like he spent an extra amount of time. It's kind of tough to just go out into the woods and be like, "Let me go to this spot and find an idol." Like if they keep catching him going out, I think that becomes something.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think he's gonna chill. I think he's gonna
yeah, well,
chill.
he's gonna. He realizes what he did because he was told it, and the way he reacted was like, "What? Like
Yeah.
I know I was looking for an idol, but it was like for 5 minutes, and I don't know
Uh
this
huh.
beach at all. I have no idea where it could be.
Right.
He'd be like one lucky boy to just go out in the woods and be like, here's the idol."
And I've seen this before in previous seasons where the winner of the show could be in hot water in the first episode because they want you
Yep.
to feel like, oh, he was dead to right, but here he goes and he changes it around.
Yep.
He could have the makings of a winner edit. I'm not going to say that he may still be my winner pick for the game, but he was originally. And yes, I felt bad about it at times, but maybe he can adapt. It was Laura Boneham, by the way. She was
Okay. Yeah.
the first boot. Yeah. So I had to fact check myself.
There you go. Always ready for the fact check. So,
So your loser.
my loser, also from Laro. I feel like it's a pretty obvious one. It's Aaron. He was with Ronnie on the vote.
Yeah.
More so because he acted just like Ronnie. He almost acted like it was his idea, even though I think it was definitely Ronnie's idea. So he acted like louder than he actually, like more so about the idea to vote out of Lane than Ronnie did. He was more vocal about it in a sense, which means that it wasn't. He's just gonna hop onto something and pretend it's his, which is very concerning. I actually picked him as my first boot, and I was so close.
You were so close.
He might.
And he could be a second boot.
He could be the
exactly.
second boot.
Exactly.
But I had that feeling that that's exactly how he was going to play. Like he was going to come out and he was going to not necessarily latch on to someone else's idea, but I thought he was going to be too aggressive, too loud about something. Not even aggressive.
Right.
Like he's not really. He hasn't been aggressive because he wasn't the one that made the decision to go after Elaine. But he's been too loud. He's been pushing it. He's like, I'm going to do this. Join. Like,
yeah.
Relax, dude. Relax.
Well,
Chill.
I mean, he was on the wrong side of an 8-2 vote. And
7-2.
Oh, 7-2. Yeah,
would have been 8-2. 7
would have been 8-2. Right.
We'll get into that.
Yes, we will. But also, we see in the scenes from the next episode that he's going to have to.
Oh yeah.
He's got the receipts, or they've got the receipts on him, and they're going to make him pay, at least in some sense of, hey, what are you doing there, man? He's getting into some confrontations pretty early in next episode.
And I have no idea who would even side with him. Like I can't see.
Nobody.
That's the biggest problem is that I don't think anyone on Laro would side with him or vote with him. I don't see a way out for him, like at all. Like he's dead to his rights.
It's cooked.
Even if it's like the girls' alliance becomes loud in some sense, and like Dean's like, I gotta pair with someone because I'm a boy and I don't have any relationships like Tom and Vince do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think his goose is cooked.
Yes, it is.
I mean, they could survive by winning challenge next week, which they might because the way from the scenes from the next episode, you see Nora got a lot of time.
Oh my
scenes
god!
From the next episode, which is surprising. Like it was like her was half of the preview.
Oh Lord.
So
yeah,
I don't know if that means stuff's gonna happen on Vokai when they lose the challenge, or if that much stuff just happens naturally on Vokai and they get that much footage. That'd be surprising if they got that much footage. So just from the take, I think this might be a Vokai loss next week.
Could be.
That's just from the behind the scenes from the next episode. If I was actually predicting it, I would predict a Laro loss again.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would say Aaron to go home. But we'll have to see with that. All right, let's get into a little bit more of a strategy talk. So
sure,
open up, and I think Vokai had a great conversation to start. They all got together. They're like, I'm this. I do this. I'm the fourth. Tommy says I'm the fourth grade teacher. That works with everyone. That's another.
Oh yes.
Another winner for the week is Tommy.
Big time winner.
Everyone loves talking to Tommy. He connects with everyone. I just think he's a little too gameplay hard. I think he kind of.
Oh, you do think so?
I think he ekes out a little bit when he talks to people. I don't think they realize it yet, but I think that once the game gets going, I think that might eke out a little bit more. Because he when he came in, I remember watching something like he was saying, they did like this on Survivor on CBS on YouTube. They did a video where they talked about everyone's bucket list for the season? Like, what's your Survivor bucket list? And everyone's like, I want an idol. I want to get to the family,
Right.
the loved ones visit. I want this. I want that. And he was like, I don't want anything. I want to win the game. And I'm like, well, okay,
Okay.
chill out, dude. Like
You do want
this is,
something.
you do want something. Yeah. This was Tommy, who I don't think is like that kind of dude. Like, I think he's smart enough not to play like Ronnie or Aaron. But I'm concerned because I think he might eat that from the way he was talking and what I guess I know a little bit more about him because I was able to see what he was thinking before the game. I can
Uh-huh.
see that possibly leaking out in just his natural talk, and if someone catches him
True.
in a lie, then he's in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he did have a great cut. I thought Vokai had great conversations to start.
Yeah.
I thought Laro didn't have as many, except for Elaine, who talked with everyone.
True.
So I feel like individually on Laro, there's not nearly as many relationships. I think it's more so the girls have that group mentality, and then
Uh-huh.
you have Elaine, Tom, and Vince. But in terms of, I think the only individual relationship is probably Elaine and Tom. Like the girls' alliance is just like they just kind of like girls, which
That is
happens,
true.
and there could build something from that. But right now, the
Yeah.
the only relationship I see is Elaine and Tom. Like
Interesting.
individually. If you go to Vokai, however, you can
Uh-huh.
see Tommy and Lauren. You can
Tommy and
see
Jack.
Tommy and Jack. You can
Uh-huh.
see Kelly and Molly. You can see
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of
Nora and Jason.
Nora and
Uh,
Jason. Like
mm-hmm.
they have individual things. That's why I thought Vokai, which kind of upset by it because I think Vokai would have been a more interesting first try because they have more relationships going on and kind of
That's
interesting to
true.
see how that all ends up.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile,
Uh-huh.
Lara was just two sides kind of thing that
Right.
weren't really that tight, but they're just on different wavelengths, so it's gonna break the way it's gonna break. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought Vokai had a lot of great conversations to start off and throughout the first few days. But yeah, let's talk about this the just real quick. I mean, I know we already talked about the challenge. The
Uh-huh.
strategy of picking who to do the puzzle at the end of a team challenge because
Sure.
it is a
Sure.
age-old Survivor problem because
Uh-huh.
sometimes they put the smart person who they think the smart person is, and if they don't do it, they go home. So it puts a lot
Right.
of pressure on the person on the puzzle more so than anyone else in the challenge. I don't like
I
it's
agree. I
really
agree.
tough to mess up a challenge before the puzzle so bad that you're now a target. You could
Dean
like
couldn't hook it. Dean couldn't hook it.
Dean couldn't hook it, but like you just notice nothing really happened with Dean. Like
Right.
no one's
Right.
upset at Dean for not hooking it. People would be more upset. I mean they weren't really upset about anyone in the challenge, which is fair. Like that's not the game. Like that's part of the game,
Right.
but it's not like the bulk of the game. But at the
Uh-huh.
same time, like they got blown out. They need to address it in some manner and like talk about it at least. Have it be a
Yeah.
conversation. Maybe we do need to get rid of someone because I
Right.
don't want to go to
Right.
tribal again. Like let's keep us from going to tribal. We're also not getting any
Uh-huh.
rewards out of this. We're falling behind out of the gate. So
Yep.
your thoughts on
Yep.
pick who how you should pick a puzzle person for the end of a challenge early in the
Well,
season
what
specifically.
true. I mean, it's interesting because in this particular puzzle, you needed to have a strong person, which is why you see Jamal and Dean playing in these groups of three because they have to carry around
Pick
these
up the
heavy pieces.
Yep.
Whether or not they're puzzlers sort of remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to tell. I personally am of the mindset where if you believe that you're very strong at the puzzles, you probably shouldn't put yourself out there right away.
Yeah.
Only because you run the chance of putting yourself as this hero, which
Can
is
work
not
out.
necessarily good. It could work out in one way,
But
could work out in another way. Like if we say Jack, the way that he presents himself as a hero by helping people up, that's a lot less influential to me than if you're carrying the tribe at the very end to win through a puzzle. I mean, everybody needs to get up this wall, and somebody's gotta help you up. But I don't think that would necessarily, put a target on your back, whereas a puzzle win would. It's sort of hard to tell. I would say it would be nice if you could get a couple people to volunteer but you don't always get that. So I feel like you sort of have to feel it out. I mean, you gotta lift somebody up to you as another player if you don't want to be involved in that puzzle. Sort of have to, boost somebody's ego, give them the confidence that yes, you can do this puzzle. I don't want to do it because I think I could do it and I don't want to put a target on myself, but I really believe in you. And I would just sort of try to push it onto somebody else as much as you can and hopefully try to, bait out a really strong puzzle player so that you sort of see their cards early on. It's weird because I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of how you as a player get yourself farther along in the game. But obviously you need to win the puzzle so you don't go to tribal. So it's sort of a catch-22
And
in that
sometimes a
sense.
lot of people like to say the first tribal is generally the most random. Not
Yeah,
not really isn't, but it can be at times because it's like, oh well, now we got to vote someone. We don't know anybody, but we got to vote somebody.
right. Right.
All my thinking is Vince, Chelsea, and Dean. I would not pick to do the puzzle. Like that's just like three people. That was not what I
Uh-huh.
would go with at all. Like I would have probably gone with Elizabeth, Missy, and honestly Ronnie. I think that would be a
Oh, I
good
agree.
trio. Like I don't know, like just from like if it was a team decision, why would you not go with the Olympian, who you know is an Olympian? She's someone who has the physical strength, but she also doesn't seem like she's completely stupid. Missy's sharp, I think.
She's very sharp.
She's someone who could stick out like that. And then Ronnie is, he's the slimy guy, but you think he'd have brains because of that or something like that.
Oh,
Vince, all
impression.
respect to him, I don't know. He doesn't scream challenge or puzzle master. Dean looks like he's just a hunk of meat. I'm so disappointed in Dean.
Dean.
And Chelsea, I don't know too much about. She could be all right, but she seemed to struggle obviously there. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with her being on the team. I just thought Dean and Vince were terrible picks to do the puzzle. Like I
Yeah.
thought they were victims of their own because they both got there at relatively the same time. Like it's not like it was close up to that. The rest of the challenge was pretty even, and then they just got smoked on the puzzle. So
Yeah.
I just thought that was a costly decision for the tribe as a whole. And if someone so let's go with your thinking. What if Ronnie was like that? Because Ronnie seems like he'd be a good puzzle guy, just because he's a
Yeah.
poker player, he's smarter, he's got logic and all that. So maybe he was like, I don't want to put a target on my back by putting someone else on the puzzle. Next thing you know, you go home because you didn't win.
It didn't pay
So
off.
it's a catch 22 really more so than
It
anything.
really is. It really
But I
is.
think I think we need to do I think Survivor contestants need to do better at picking team puzzle masters. Like I feel like season after season, you just see someone you're like, oh, they lost it at the puzzle. Well, pick someone who can do a puzzle then. I mean, I get it if someone says they can do a puzzle and then they fail, that's different. But like when you have to pick someone, like that's a pretty poor selection of people. I think Vokai picked a good three, probably not the best three, but a competent three. I can see those three completing a puzzle together.
I
I could
agree.
not see those three completing a puzzle together if they would have sat in a room for hours. I don't know if they would finish a jigsaw puzzle. They just did
Yeah.
not mesh at all.
I
So
I, I do agree. I do agree. It's a yeah. It's just a tough place to be in, and we don't see the whole decision process
no, I wish
to it.
I wish they would have that like as extras after like if you can go online and see it after the episode, that'd be really cool. I mean, sometimes like when it's more meaningful, like when it's like it is important to like what's going on, you get a little glimpse of the talk that they're having. But I think it'd be more effective to get something like extra after the fact. Well, moving on from that, after the challenge, we go and pick out of a bag, not a hat, a bag to determine who goes to the Island of the Idols. Is your mic working? Because I can't hear you. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, now you're better again. You're better again. All right, good.
I'm
Good. Never mind.
good.
Yeah. I saw you mouthing like responses to what I was saying, and I was like, I can't hear him. I know he's saying yeah or no.
At least that's why we got the video to supplement it because you can read my lips. Yeah. So we've got this is the mechanic we're going with a random draw,
I don't think
which
it's going to remain random. I don't.
you don't think so. Uh, what makes you think that?
Because
Because
I think once people know what's there, I think it gives
I
more power to say, let's send them there or something like
I
that. Like
I
that would be
guess
really, really cool. Like if like you get, say you won an advantage from there, not necessarily from
right.
there, or for somewhere where you get to pick who goes there, and you can pick yourself because going there is your target. You're now a target. Not yet, but it will be.
True. True.
Once people know what's going on there, you're instant target. You don't stand a chance of not being an instant target because you automatically know that they have something or lost
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And no one's ever going to come back. Most people aren't going to come back and say, I won or
Uh-huh.
I lost. Or we're not that I, well, actually, that's actually, now that I think about it, because they're not going to come back and say, I won.
Uh,
So that means that they lost. So they're like, oh, so you don't have a vote, or you don't have something. And they'll be like, no,
uh-huh.
no, 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 I have that because now they're caught in a, now they're really caught.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting.
I think it'll play into the game. So we already talked about the mechanic and Elizabeth going there, but I mean, do you want to talk more about IOI, or do you want to talk about Elizabeth's decision to subsequently lie to her tribe, because
I want to talk
that's a
more.
very big important thing.
No, yeah, I think I want to talk more about IOI because I think it's going to have more of an
Sure.
impact on the whole season.
Sure.
I think we let's touch on Elizabeth's decision first. Let's get through that, and then we'll just get to
Yes.
the
Yes.
meat and potatoes. Never challenge Rob. Dumb. That was
No.
really really dumb. Like
Really dumb.
there was a lot of pressure. I get it. Like you're the first person here. There's cameras in your face. You got Rob sitting there with everything set up. By the way,
Uh-huh.
that's
Uh-huh.
kind of like a like you should do this kind of thing. Uh,
Exactly. Yep.
and
Pushes it right
Rob's
there.
even though Rob kind of like looked at her like, "You want to do this?" and he he knew in his
Uh,
head like, "You don't stand a chance," and she knew that too. I do think she did know that. What's nice is that her vote didn't get revealed. I understand that her vote didn't matter,
yes.
but it was more
Yes.
important that her vote didn't get revealed because if it would have revealed that there was only 9 votes, that
Uh-huh.
drastically changes what people think about everything. Because they're like,
Correct.
why wasn't there a 10th vote? And then
Uh-huh.
she's got to
Uh-huh.
be honest. She's like, I lost my vote. Um,
Yep. Even though I told you all that I did was play a shell game, and I just
well,
got, or I got a no game.
that would
That
have
was
been
what she
yeah.
said.
Oh, did she say she got a no game? Is that what, I forget
Yeah,
exactly what
yeah.
she said.
Which means
I
she
thought she,
didn't even get the opportunity.
uh, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
mistake. Well, I mean, she could have also like spun her way out of that if her vote did matter in the end, and she would have been like, "Yeah, sorry, I just didn't want to say I didn't have a vote. I had a lie because I wanted someone to
Right.
think they had the I wanted to vote with the numbers, this kind of
Uh-huh.
thing."
Uh-huh.
So I don't think
Yeah.
that would have been as harmful. Um, but
Uh-huh.
I think it's more harmful in the sense that if I was the first person to go there, what I would say, my pitch when I get back to camp would be, so I went to the Island of the Idols.
Uh-huh.
Uh, obviously, I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going on there, but I'm going to
Right.
tell you it's really cool, and you can get an
Uh-huh.
advantage or you can get a disadvantage, and that's all I'd say. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say whether I won, I lost. I'm just going to be plain and simple, be straightforward, but don't give away anything. Like that's what you
Okay.
got to do, because that way people then like, okay, like why would he lie in that manner? Like that's not something you got to be telling the truth. Like why would someone
Yeah.
come back and say something like that? Like the idea is like you let them know like he's giving me something, but he's obviously keeping something from me. But of course he's keeping something from me. Like
Right.
of course anyone who comes back with no matter what you say, they're
Uh-huh.
everyone else, since you're the only person there, they're all going to think you were keeping something from them. Every last person on that island.
That's a good point.
So
That's a good
why pretend that you're not keeping something from them? Like, oh, I'm being honest. Like, no, you're not. That's
Mhm.
obvious. Even if you were, we're not gonna believe you. Like,
Yeah.
give them
Yeah.
something. Give them a nugget. Give them a little taste of what could be there.
You and I were chatting when, as the episode was running, and you said that it was a mistake on Elizabeth to not tell the tribe about Rob and Sandra straight up.
Yeah,
Have you
I mean,
changed your mind on that?
yeah, I mean, more so. It's kind of tough to be like, oh, Rob and Sandra are there. That's a wild thing to say to people. That's why. I mean, I think she should have. When I said that, I meant that she should have said something. I mean, now they've had a few days to think about it.
Right.
But I think she should have said something about the Island of the Idols, not just like, oh, there was 3 urns, I got a no game. It's the first episode. Come on, like that's a
Yeah.
terrible lie. You got to say if you're gonna lie
Right.
to make up a good lie. Like that was bad. really, really bad.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I just think that she should have said something about it. She should have given them something, like a nugget of, not necessarily what I just said like that. Like maybe she could have said,
Right.
"There's someone there. It's just like a survivor school or something." Just throw something out there, because lying gets you no. It doesn't get you anywhere. Telling the truth doesn't get you anywhere. But if you tell a
Uh-huh.
little bit of a lie and a little bit of the truth, maybe you can get something from that.
True. I mean, maybe she should have lied about which former players were there. Maybe she should have just said
Just so
Cochran was there.
Cochran is there.
Yeah.
I still
Uh-huh.
think that's pretty wild. I still think people are like, "What, Cochran?" Like
Yeah,
that's just
go
not
Cochran.
believable. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, she shouldn't have lied entirely. That's what
Yeah.
I don't think it hurts her that much. I really don't. Like, there's not much she can do. Like, I don't like
Uh-huh.
when the next person goes, they're gonna. Well, the next person's gonna be from Vokai, but when the next
Right.
person on Laro goes, or the next person that knows that she went goes, they're gonna
Mhm.
realize, okay, that's why she lied.
Right.
Am I gonna be the one that breaks the news to them? Rob and
Well,
Sandra are on this island. Like, how?
well,
Who's
and
going to be the first one to break? Who's going to tell
right.
people that Rob and Sandra are on an island?
Yeah. There was an interesting thing that I heard on RHAP about somebody asked a question about, do you think that production had told Elizabeth, sorry, you can't tell anybody about that it's Rob and Sandra
No,
because we want to
no,
keep that surprise. You
no,
don't believe that?
not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either, but I think that was an interesting thought that didn't even cross my mind while I
I
was watching the episode.
I have my gripes with production. I do believe. I mean, I haven't played the game. I don't see them during the game, obviously.
Uh-huh.
I do believe that they aren't trying to tarnish the game by
Right.
influencing players' decisions. With words. They influence players' decisions with placement of things, like the fire making challenge, like just right in front of her. They're trying to influence her to do it because they want the first one to do it and be beaten. But like, I don't think that they specifically tell the player something. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you can't tell people about this. I think that if that's true, that's really bad. Like, really bad. That should not. It's a social game. You should not be influencing people, especially because you're not on an island starving. You're staying in a hotel. Do not
True.
influence them, because I think that could definitely tarnish the game. But I don't buy that at all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It could, and hopefully it
Yeah.
it doesn't. And I don't think that would necessarily come out if that was the case.
No, it would never come out. Never would come out.
No.
I know, like a lot of the people that are around it like to speculate and stuff like this. And there's a lot of
Right.
there's big
Right.
speculation around heroes, healers, and hustlers about how production forced a winner upon us. And
Really?
I don't buy that either. You haven't seen heroes, healers, hustlers yet, have you?
No, I know. I haven't watched Triple
All right.
H.
Well, I won't ruin it for you. But that's the first one with the fire making challenge, and it's a
Oh,
surprise.
I know who
It's a
wins. Well, I know
Oh,
who
you know who
wins. I
wants?
know the story.
Okay, well, he idled out. Every
Right.
episode, he
Yep.
found another idol. Every
Yep.
single
Yep. Yep.
episode. But the problem was is that, not to get down to this rabbit hole, but the problem with that is that that's always been a thing where once an idol from a certain beach is used, they put another one back on the beach,
Yep.
and that he knew that,
He knows his stuff.
and everyone else on that beach, rather than ever stopping him from doing it, he was out
Uh,
looking for it 24/7.
right.
24/7. He would go out in the middle of the night looking for the idol, and he would find it in the middle of the night. And they were complaining like, well, they placed the idol right next to where he does his confessionals. They placed the idol near too close to him. Everyone from the game who came out complained
Right.
about Ben winning, which I
Uh-huh.
think is ridiculous. Like, you just sat on the beach and talked. He was out there looking for an idol.
Yeah.
You knew he needed that to survive. So why don't you just follow him?
Yeah. And
Show
I mean,
some
we saw
effort.
that. We sort of saw that last season, and I wonder if that was an effect of Triple H. But like when Devins was finding all the idols, at some point we see the rest of the cast members
You
are
start
out
following
there.
him.
Exactly, just
That's what you have to do. You
staying
have
in
to.
threes, fours.
Yeah, just so that you know when he gets it, or if he finds,
Uh-huh.
if hopefully you can find it before him. That's the idea. Because if you find it
Right.
before him, you got him. It's over.
Yeah, man.
But, anyways, back on topic. Back to Island of the Idols.
Uh-huh.
Let's just talk about the Island of the Idols now. So
Yes.
random draw. Excuse me there. Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Random draw to start. Back to back. I do like the production deciding not to reveal who's going there next episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it really matters.
Uh-uh.
But I'm kind of interested if they're going to start the episode with that now, because They ended
Oh.
because here's the thing: like you pick it after you determined who's on the losing tribe. Okay, now it's
Uh-huh.
Vokai no matter what. Okay, so they could win next episode and be on the island of the idols and say they win the challenge and they have an idol that survives 2 tribal councils. They might not even go to a tribal council, and now it's no longer available. So
Huh.
I don't think they're going to wait for the end. I think they might start off next week's episode, not necessarily the first like cut, but
Yeah.
like after the first commercial break, come back, Island of the Idols. You're going to, or they'll announce it like at the end of the first cut. Be like they'll send a note into camp, be like, get on a boat, and it's like what?
Sorry, person. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't think it would be the first thing they'd start off with. I mean, don't you traditionally see like the fallout from the
Fallout from
tribals? So
tribal,
we'll see Aaron John in
yeah,
out with everybody.
yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I like that it wouldn't be after the challenge or anything, because I would assume that they would. Well, do you think they're all well? I want to pick your brain further, because you're of the mindset that it's not going to be random all the time, and I could personally see it could be random for a little while longer. But do they want to do it where, X person from Vokai goes to, Island of the Idols, and then they pick out of the bag there again, and it's just constantly this beginning of the episode thing? Because that probably works better for me than
I don't like it being always at the beginning of the episode though. I think it has
no,
because well, look at this Pat. Look at the. I mean, this is the first episode, and it really didn't have that much impact on what was going on. But
right?
they cut back and forth between the conversations
Uh huh.
and Elizabeth on Island of the Idols, because it was her. She was deciding whether or not to take the challenge. Did her vote really matter? And they cut away before she makes the decision. Go back to tribe camp where they
Right.
talk about who's voting where. Now, because now it's like, okay, she better, like, she doesn't know this because she's on Island of the Idols, but the idea is you tie in like what's going on in camp with what's going on at Island of the Idols, and I think that's so powerful to have it right before Tribal. Like, I think that's such a cool
That's a
thing to
good
do.
point.
I don't think it's going to happen every episode, but I think it's important to have that happen more than once. I don't want it at the beginning, because at the beginning
Mhm.
it's going to be like, I don't know. You're gonna go there. It's gonna be a challenge. You're not. You don't. It doesn't really fit the episode. I don't think, because I think this one, they're gonna try to make it so that every episode is its own short little hour story. Because
Uh huh.
that's what production wants. You want like something that has
Yep.
a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every
Right.
episode, like you all want an overarching story, but you want that every single episode. It's like individual books in a series. Like
Uh huh.
they're gonna, yeah, you're gonna tell a whole story, and you're gonna have interweaving stories that go from book to book, but each book has an ending point for a reason. Like each one, this is
That's a
this
good point.
story, this is this story. So that's what I think. It's gonna be variable. I don't think it's gonna
Hmm.
be that all the time, because I think it's too good to pass up the potential impacts it can have the day of tribal. Like you're going to tribal as
Yeah.
well, especially later in the
Yeah.
season. Later in the season doesn't really matter because you're going to tribal after the merge every time.
Right.
But I still think earlier on, I think we might have a few more bounce back. And I do think it's not always going to be one person. I do have the belief that there might be a time when there's two people that go. Like
Right.
say like two people go off against Rob or against something, or two people go off against Singe or against for something.
Well, right. And I'm also forgetting that I've heard that, I don't know if it was speculation or if it was actually production, but like one of the ideas is they could teach you how to do a slide puzzle and then say, "All right, get up there in the challenge and do the slide puzzle for
For
your
your team.
tribe, and if you win it, you get an advantage."
Well,
So
that'd
they
be a
have to
good
teach
one for
lessons outside of that too.
that would be a good one
Outs-
for say like this episode.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
mean, I don't think they would do that because you're going to literally take the team that won the last challenge, a player from that team, and then give them
Yep.
knowledge for the challenge coming up. I don't think they'll do that right away, but that's something that would work where you take someone from the losing, like whoever loses this week, you take someone from that tribe, and you do the slide puzzle in episode 3 on Island of the
Right.
Idols, where you determine who's gonna um, like you tell them like now this is coming
Uh-huh.
up in the challenge. You should prepare. Like you
Right.
should do it.
Right.
You we just taught you, kind of thing.
Right. And that could influence the game in a sense that if everybody's outright about it, if we get to the point where Island of the Idols is freely spoken about, people can bring back that information for the tribe, and it could influence how their mindset
Well, it
goes
could also
into the
influence. Could
challenge.
imagine, say, they lose again, Lyro, and say that
Yep.
happens. And episode 3, someone else other than Elizabeth goes there. Say Elaine goes there, and she learns, oh well, this Island of the Idols taught me to help the tribe,
Uh-huh.
and Elizabeth kept that from the tribe. Now I can
Oh,
go after Elizabeth because she kept something from the tribe when clearly it helped me help the tribe.
ta-da.
Really easy right there.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
uh, but yeah, I think Island of the Idols is gonna be good. I really
I,
do.
I really hope so. I
I
mean, they spoke an oath to us that they're not playing a game. They're
They're not
not
gonna play the game.
voting.
I'm not concerned about that at all. I'm not at all concerned about that.
I know. I
I
know.
there's
I
part of
know.
the reason is that I don't watch Big Brother, and I know that stuff like that happens a lot in Big Brother.
Oh yeah, happened once.
Or it
But
happens in Big Brother.
that was the mechanic of the
Yeah, yeah.
season. So
So I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I know there's other shows that just constantly
yep,
recycle
yep,
them and just like, oh, guess
yep.
what? The best players coming in the game with 6 people left. You're all in a
Uh,
bad situation now. Like, I
yes.
don't think that's happening here at all. I don't get that vibe. Um, I do love how they are at Tribal though. That is
Oh my
that
gosh.
was maybe the greatest decision of all time to have those
Easy.
two overlook Tribal secretly and comment on everything. And Sandra's like, I would never do that. That's stupid.
You you heard the story of the secret shack? You know who invented the
Jimmy
idea?
Fallon.
Jimmy frickin' Fallon. That's bonkers
And soon
to me.
We're gonna have Jimmy Fallon and Tyler Perry both in a box, looking at him.
Get him in the box.
Get him in a
Yeah,
box.
I that commentary was everything.
That was
That's so good,
so
and I didn't realize
good.
I needed it.
Yeah,
But
right.
man,
Because
they were
it's
great.
because it's them. That's why it works. Like
That's
if you
true.
were to put just two whoever's in there, I don't think it would be as powerful. But because
Uh,
those two are in
uh,
there, and like I think it's only going to get better as the season as it goes on later.
I
Like
agree.
once the players grow and evolve, because not only are
Uh-huh.
they are giving meaningful insight in terms of like I like the way he talks, this that the other. I mean it's very
Yeah.
early, so it's very vanilla for that stuff. But at the same time, they're also ripping them, and I love it. I love they're like
Yep.
that's so stupid. Like why would you
Was
do
it this hard for you? F no, says Sandra. I voted him out. Oh,
Oh,
she's awesome.
that was
Rob's
so good.
awesome.
I
It
love
was.
I
It
love
was.
the relationship that they have between each other too. I love
Yeah,
how
I
they're gonna
agree.
build off each other. I'm kind of interested like how they're gonna do challenges on Island of the Idols in the future because
Mm-hmm.
most things
Mm-hmm.
that I would think that they would talk about there don't condone to
Yeah.
challenges like
Yeah. Yep.
yeah like okay fire making you have like a side puzzle. I'm sure you can have other like challenge specific
Uh-huh.
tasks. But like say it's a social thing.
Yep. Manipulation or
How
persuasion.
do you test that? Is it going
I
to be
don't
like one of those
know.
things like grab the money or run? Like is it going to be like one of those weird like logic puzzles? Like I guess
Right.
I don't know what they could possibly how could you
Maybe.
test that?
Yeah, they're just doing two truths and a lie the whole time.
Just
That's
not
it.
lie. They just go right
Uh,
on to the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon
yep.
and go do that.
Yep.
What's that thing with the
What
box?
the
Pull out the
the
box and the
box.
what's in the
Uh
box?
uh-huh,
You know what I'm
uh-huh,
talking
uh-huh.
about?
Yes. Yeah. Uh I
Anyways,
what I'm do you think there's room for concern where if they're able to see both tribals, do you always think they'll be, prompting the player to bring up their concerns when they're giving advice, because part of IOI is that they're advising them in a sense.
no.
But do you think they're ever going to be like, you really got to target that guy? He had a great tribal, you
No,
know?
no, no, no. I think they'll say you should target like based off. They're gonna take the reason they're at tribal is so that they know what's going on in the game because it'd be very difficult even for Rob and Sandra say
Yeah.
6 episodes in, or especially once you get to the merge where the only information they're getting from the game is people coming back and telling them at Island of the Idols. So they don't actually know what's going on. So they can't.
Uh-huh.
They could just say something and it could just be wildly wrong because they don't know anything that's going on, and that makes them look like idiots, which is not good. You don't want them to look like idiots. So I
Right.
don't think I think that like they're just going to tribal just so they see okay this is what's happening. This is what's happening. They got voted out. This is what happened at tribal. That's all they need because then someone's going to come to them and explain their problems, and they're going
For
to
sure.
say like Vince is really bugging me, and they're like, well, you got to vote him out. Like that's what they would do, kind of thing.
Right,
Like
right.
they wouldn't say that, I don't think, but it's going to be dependent on what the player brings to them. Like they're only watching Tribal and all that to understand what's going on in the game, where the relationships are going. So it's more so to try to make sure that they just are aware of the game, because it's really tough to give advice on something when you aren't paying attention.
Yeah, yeah.
What can you say?
What can you say? Yeah, yeah. I mean, if anything, I'm confident in them that they're not gonna sell anybody out because they're smart people. They know how to keep information from other people. So I'm not really concerned about it on that front, that they're gonna talk too much about stuff that they should be talking about.
Yeah. So. But yeah. So Island of the Idols.
Great.
Closing
it's
thoughts.
Good. It's a good mechanic. It's a good mechanic. I really hope that it doesn't fall short. Later on. I'm, there. I have my reservations because we do. There is that, no man's land of, or the unknown of how the heck they're going to execute some of these games in a game sense. But I really want to see what some of the advantages are. I really hope they're not just
idols,
always idols.
Idle the last 2 days. If they say no, it becomes 3 days, and then it's a no vote otherwise. I think they'll change it up. They seemed also in the interview. I mean, this is always, they always fluff it up because they're trying to sell their show. But in the interviews, especially Jeff was very. He said they were more than good. They were so much better than we thought they would be in terms of talking about Robin Sanger and Island of the Idols. So I think that they got something good on their hands. I really do.
Oh, I hope so. And I'm even interested in seeing the disadvantages too. But continue your thoughts. Sorry.
I mean, I know they're also they're trying to draw people back next season with the winners. That's obvious. So generally the winter season of Survivor gets the crappier season in general because they want to close the year with their big season. But I think that the winter season is generally the season where you can be more experimental, where you can be more just to see what happens, and sometimes that you get the best seasons during that time frame. So sometimes you also get the worst seasons during that time frame. Just think of all odd number seasons are the winter seasons. That's how I like to think of it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, we've gotten to our little conversation about 40. I mean, obviously there's concerns, but that remains to be seen. I'm not gonna. We'll get there. We'll get there in time.
We'll wait for the finale, and when we get the full info on that. So.
Oh yes.
Does your winner vote change this week? Do you have a new winner? You sticking with Jason?
See, ride or die, Jason. No, I'm gonna shift to Jack. I think I feel very good about Jack's chances because he's very personable and he can excel in these challenges in a way that hopefully keeps him under the radar. I hope he's not a puzzle boy. I hope he's not doing puzzles all the time. I hope he's not outright more athletic, but he did what he needed to do in this episode. And I think people are going to really like him. And likability is yes, a liability, but hopefully not to the extent that he's liked. Hopefully he gets a good crew. And I think having Tommy there as a shield could be very valuable to him because I think Tommy would be picked off before Jack, and hopefully Vokai doesn't need to go to Tribal, so Jack is just fine. Granted, you never know about swaps. Who knows?
I'm going to stick with Molly. I think she had a great episode. I really do. She's the one that got Kelly to talk to Dan about the touchy.
That is a good point.
She was like, I understand. I feel the same way. She did all that, and she was just like, you should talk to him. And then she did.
Yeah.
That's power right there.
That's power.
Molly's my girl.
Molly is your girl.
She's going the distance, okay?
Yes, the biggest goat, Molly.
No. She's going the distance.
Oh, yeah. No, she is.
She's to win. She's winning the million. It's over.
Sure.
It's decided.
It's already over.
Who else should she bond? She bonded with Jack, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They both got along.
That squirting clam. That big squirty clam that he found.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah,
I did not expect that to happen.
I've never seen that.
Never seen someone run around with a clam gun.
The big clam gun.
So,
Oh,
all
yeah,
right. Well,
good stuff. Good episode.
yeah, we'll wrap it up here.
Sure
Next
thing.
week we got the Nora problems. I'm sure that
The
are going
Nora
to unfold.
problems.
We got
Maybe
Aaron
she
trying to
goes to
save
Island of
himself.
the Idol. I don't know.
Part of me thinks
Eh,
that because she had such a
uh-huh.
she had so much screen time in the scenes from next episode,
Yep.
makes
Yep.
me
Yep.
think
Yep.
she probably went to Island of the Idols,
Uh-huh.
or she just decided to have a come onto the scene for some reason. I mean, that happens a lot early in seasons. I feel like once every season, there's someone that's quiet, and then out of nowhere on episode 2, 3, 4, they just come out and they're really loud and they get voted out.
Yep.
It's like, what happened?
Yep.
Why? What happened there? So,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, we'll have to see what's in store.
Oh yes.
Another good episode.
Another great episode.
So, any closing thoughts?
Let me see. Missy Bird quietly making her case for the strongest member of Lyro. I know I haven't talked about her at all this episode, but she's very good to me.
I like her. I like her a lot.
I think she's got the tools, and I want to see her compete.
My one concern is I think she might be driving that Girls Alliance,
and that's a problem.
That's gonna, and because she's driving it, that's a problem. But also, if it falls apart, she's gonna be looked at for like the target since she tried to build it. That's my concern.
Yeah. Crossing my fingers.
But yeah, I do like her. I hope she's a good. I picked her as my fan favorite. I thought she was going to be everyone's fan favorite, but that's clearly Elaine. That's already decided. We don't even need to watch the other 14 episodes. I think Elaine's got that in the bag.
She's got it locked.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, whoever tuned in.
Yes, thank you so much.
We will we'll be back next Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
As long as schedules work out there, I'm assuming they're going to be fine for
that.
Yeah,
we'll be good. We got to bring you, our loyal audience, the content that you deserve.
Oh yes. All right.
Survivor Saturdays.
Saturday morning. Turn off the cartoons. Saturday morning. Turn on these these chuckleheads.
These two boys. These chuckle boys.
These chuckle boys. All right. Thank you very much, folks.
Thanks again.
I've been Anthony. I'm not John.
I've been John.
He's been John. I've been Anthony. Have a good day.
Yes, you too. Bye-bye.